Imagine this. You walk into a cafe, sit down, and order a coffee for 5,000 marks. But by the time you drain your cup, the price has jumped to 8,000. This isn't a scene from a dystopian movie. It's not a glitch in a video game. This was the reality of Germany in 1923. It was a time when money didn't just die, it became a joke. People actually burned cash in their stoves because it was cheaper than buying firewood. Thieves would steal laundry baskets full of banknotes, dump the money out on the street, and just keep the basket. Why? Because the wicker basket was worth more than the fortune inside it. Today, we're digging into the terrifying story of hyperinflation. We're going to look at how a global superpower obliterated its own currency, wiped out the middle class, and cracked the door open for history's darkest chapter. Before the nightmare started, the German mark was actually a powerhouse. It was solid, stable, just as trusted as the US dollar or the euro is today. Families saved their whole lives in marks. They trusted their government. They trusted the banks. But then, the Great War happened. And here's the thing about war, it's incredibly expensive. Instead of raising taxes to fund World War I, Germany decided to borrow. Heavily. They gambled everything on a simple idea: win the war and pay off the debt with the spoils of victory. But they didn't win. They lost. And in 1919, the bill finally came due. The victors demanded massive reparations, payments that a shattered Germany simply didn't have. The factories were idle. The economy was on its knees. So, the government made a fatal choice. It's the same trap empires have fallen into since ancient Rome. If you're broke, just print more money. At first, it looked like a miracle cure. Workers got paid. Industry gears started turning again. But printing money is an addiction. Once you start, you can't just stop. In 1921, a loaf of bread cost less than a single mark. By late 1922, that same loaf was 160 marks. People were annoyed, sure, but panic hadn't set in yet. Meanwhile, the printing presses were running hot, day and night. Then, in 1923, the bottom fell out. The value of money didn't just drop, it evaporated. We aren't talking about prices doubling every year. They were doubling every few days, then every few hours. Companies started paying workers twice a day. Think about that. You'd get your morning pay and give it to your wife waiting at the factory gates so she could sprint, literally sprint, to the nearest shop. Because if you waited until evening, that money wouldn't be worth the paper it was printed on. Wallets became useless. People started carrying cash in wheelbarrows. Kids used bundles of banknotes as building blocks in the street. Why buy toys when 1,000,000 marks is cheaper than a block of wood? At the peak of the madness, $1 US was worth 4 trillion marks. Let me repeat that. 4 trillion. The numbers became meaningless. Billions. Trillions. The math broke down. Paper meant nothing. Trust had officially left the building. But forget the crazy numbers for a second. The real story here is the human tragedy. Imagine being a pensioner. You worked hard for 40 years. You saved every penny. You had 50,000 marks sitting in the bank, a fortune that was supposed to see you through to the end of your days. In 1923, that entire life savings couldn't even buy you a single egg. The middle class was wiped out in a matter of weeks. Honest work was punished, while speculation and crime were rewarded. Farmers stopped selling food for cash. They wanted real things: gold, jewelry, a warm coat. Society started to fracture. People were starving in a country literally overflowing with money. This wasn't just an economic crisis, it was a psychological trauma. When money loses its value, laws lose their value. Order loses its value. That chaos created a vacuum, a deep, desperate anger. And we all know who eventually tapped into that anger to seize power just a few years later. Eventually, the fever broke. Germany introduced a new currency, the Rentenmark, backed by land and industry rather than thin air. The panic stopped, but the scars? They never really healed. So, why does this story matter right now? Because the temptation to print our way out of trouble never goes away. When governments face huge debts or massive crises, the printing press still looks like the easiest way out. We like to think our money is safe. We say, it can't happen here. But the citizens of Berlin in 1913 thought the exact same thing. Money isn't just paper, it's trust. And trust is a very fragile thing. This is Financial Historica. If you want to understand the secrets of money that schools don't teach, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Next week, we're uncovering another financial mystery you won't want to miss. Don't let your knowledge get inflated away. See you in the next one.